Talk. I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast. Stay tuned. Peace. Well, welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show, and I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast Show. Welcome, and greetings, my people, my friends, my family, and my associates. Greetings. It is April 16th, and here in the Twin Cities, you wouldn't be able to tell because it snowed, and it's still snowing as we speak. Y'all know what's funny about that? It was just 80 degrees 2 days ago. We got some bipolar weather, man. I tell you. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you all are here. Again, welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show. And today is Sunday. And as you know, if you follow our show frequently, you know that we do appear 3 days a week on alternate Sunday, Monday nights, which is known as our Cultural Studies Night, Wednesdays, which is our Sports Night, and Friday, Saturday alternate nights, which is our Grown Folks Social Hour, where we like to have fun, humor, slick talk, whatever you know to do and be during times where you're out socializing with your friends. That's what we bring on Friday, Saturday nights. But tonight is Cultural Studies Night, and again, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have you all here. It's been a minute as we work our way through all the things that we got going on to bring you the best brand, the best podcast, the best topics, and so forth. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. We had some technical difficulties all last week, and we're just trying to get back on the right path like a train, man. We're just trying to get to rolling now and get all the kinks out of it. So yeah, let me know how you are doing tonight on this beautiful Sunday night. I know some of you are watching basketball playoffs. Who is that? The Milwaukee Bucks and Miami Heat go at it. And then some of y'all are probably doing whatever you do and you're enjoying the podcast. So thank you for that. We got a good show lined up for you tonight. And if this is your first time coming on to the show, you know we never start the show without giving it its flavor. So tonight we definitely got that flavor for you, as we always do. We also got our wise words, and then we're going to dig in tonight, and we're going to have a discussion on the word egotistical. So we're going to definitely dive in, decipher that word egotistical, and see how it measures up to us and our everyday things that we are encountering. So the word tonight is going to be egotistical as we dive into that. And then we're definitely going to do a short story on Ida B. Wells, one of our ancestors. This show is not going to last long, but I hope I have your undivided attention here at Coffee Talk Podcast. So for tonight, do what you do. Come on in, pour yourself some water, some wine, so a smoothie, a hot chocolate, a cappuccino, but come on in, kick your feet up, and welcome and enjoy our humble home. All right, so tonight's flavor of the night is this. Today's flavor is banana nut cappuccino. That's right, banana nut cappuccino. Why? Because it's smooth. It's a smooth flavor that warms the body, and not only does it warm the body, but it's a good little cappuccino to have on a night like this, where you're being entertained by the NBA playoffs, family, food. You're probably preparing yourself for Monday, which is the first day of the week, and maybe perhaps you're relaxing. So why not relax with a banana nut cappuccino, man? It's very good. If you like banana nut muffins, it's that type of flavor with your cappuccino. So tonight's flavor is banana nut cappuccino. All right. And tonight's wise words here at Coffee Talk Podcast, tonight's wise words comes from a brother that we are sending love and positive energy to in his time of need. This brother, a lot of us grew up with. He is a stand-up comedian. He excels at film, television, and music. He was born December 13th, 1967. His name is Eric Marion Bishop from Terrell, Texas. But he goes by, and you know him by, Jamie Foxx. So tonight, Jamie Foxx is in a hospital on his way to recovery. And we want to just send out our compassion. We want to send out our love. We want to send out positive energy to no other than Jamie Foxx. He's a good fella. And so tonight's wise words from Jamie Foxx is this: you are what you repeatedly do when things get hard. You are what you repeatedly do when things get hard. So when things get hard, what type of person do you become? Do you be trying to come up with solutions? Are you solution based, or does it frustrate you and you crawl into a shell? Do you get to the point where you praying for something to save you versus putting the work in? I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on the wise words of Jamie Foxx. Again, Jamie Foxx says you are what you repeatedly do when things get hard here at Coffee Talk Podcast. So go ahead and leave us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on tonight's wise words, as well as what are you sipping on? What are you drinking on? What are you relaxing to? Go ahead and let us know. Give us the flavor. All right. Welcome to Coffee Talk Podcast, the cultural variety podcast show. And again, I am your host, Mishuma Saba. And tonight we're going to go ahead and dive into the word egotistic. We're going to decipher the word egotistic. Are you egotistic? Do you know people that are egotistic? Do you know the synonyms to what Webster's New World Thesaurus states on what means egotistic? We're definitely going to dive on in, so let's begin. According to this book here, Webster's New World Thesaurus, we look up the word egotistic. Egotistic. The word egotistic means to be centered in self. Its synonym are words such as personal, intimate, subjective, ingrained, intrinsic, implanted, ingrown, congenital, to inherit, individualistic, independent, isolated, isolationist, inborn, inward, inner, instinctive, radical, inverted, obsessive, inner directed, intrinsic, social. These are the synonyms to the word egotistic. And tonight I brought that up here at Coffee Talk Podcast because I want you, the viewers, to ask yourself, do you agree with Webster's thesaurus? Did you ever consider that the word egotistic would mean the same as intimate? So when you're being intimate with someone, are y'all being egotistical? Or when you're being subjective, you don't agree with it, or you may have a response or a rebuttal, are you being egotistical? When you are centered into yourself, believing in yourself, not being a follower, is that egotistical? When you isolate yourselves from everyone, some people like to call themselves the black sheep. They want to carry on their childhood family traumas late into their adulthood. Are they being egotistical? What if you go by your instincts? Instincts also can be compared to a vibe, your intuition, your instinct. Does that make you egotistical? What if you are radical? You don't want to be like the sheep. You don't want to box yourself in. So some will consider you radical. Is radical being egotistical? What if you inherit? To inherit something that is passed down to you. To be the receiver of something that is passed down to you. Does that make you egotistical? Or is the word egotistical just being thrown around loosely? Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Make sure you leave it in the comment. We would love to hear from you. Also, make sure that you hit the like button for algorithm assistance, as well as share. Share so that the young and the old may be able to get this flavor here at Coffee Talk Podcast, because that's exactly what we're here for, is to bring you the flavor, to bring you the new media, to bring you positive, cultural-centered news and media. And again, if you are just tuning in, as we always do, we give out the wise words. And again, we want to just send our positive energy to our beloved brother, friend, nephew, stand-up comedian, one of the best, great actor, television star, and of course, great musician. We want to send out positive energy to Mr. Jamie Foxx. All right. So listen, this is what we're going to do next here at Coffee Talk Podcast, a cultural variety podcast show. We're going to go ahead and give you a 30-second commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to dive on into our latest story, the story of Ida B. Wells. We'll see you in 30 seconds. Peace. Welcome back to the show, Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show. And yes, of course, I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba, and this is our Cultural Variety Podcast Show. How y'all doing? How y'all doing this evening? Come rock with me. Where you get the flavor, baby. All right, so yeah, we were just talking about egotistical, man. And so what's your thoughts on egotistical? Did any of them synonyms match any type of situations you've been in any circumstance you've encountered? What is your thoughts on being egotistical? Is that a negative? Is that a positive? Go ahead and leave your comments. Let us know what it is. Give me your thoughts and opinions. Give me the flavor here at Coffee Talk Podcast. All right, so we're at the tail end of our show. We're going to get ready to do what we do every cultural studies night, and that's give love to our authors, our doctors, our scholars, our lawyers, our ancestors. That's what we do here at Coffee Talk Podcast every alternate Sunday and Monday night, no doubt. And again, we also appear 3 days a week. That's alternate Sunday, Monday nights, which is the cultural studies night. Wednesday, which is our sports night. But we don't care about who won or lost. We care about the different intricacies that's going on behind the world of sports. And then on Friday and Saturday nights, we like to give you, we like to let your hair down. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got hair though, y'all. But we like to let our hair down, man. We like to get comfortable. We like to call it the grown folks social hour. And that's on every alternate Friday, Saturday night, where we give you, just a nice time, man. Some laughter, some humor, some guests, 10-question Q&A, a whole bunch of things, man. You just got to tune in and find which night is your niche, or maybe all three is. But make sure that you're tuning in to Coffee Talk Podcast, the Cultural Variety Podcast Show. All right, so we're getting ready to read the story of Ida Wells. If you want your children or young adults or anybody to hear this, tell them to go ahead and go to YouTube. You can check us out on YouTube. You also can check us out live on Facebook Live, and you definitely, if you are really close to me, you probably can check this out on my personal page as well. All right, so let's begin. Ida B. Wells, her story. Ida B. Wells was born July 16th, 1862. And she went to the Essence in 1931. Let's begin. A fearless crusader for justice, Ida Wells Barnett waged a constant battle against racial discrimination and the rule of the mob. Born into slavery on July 16th, 1862, in Holly Springs, Mississippi, Ida B. Wells was the oldest of 8 children. In 1878, Ida lost both of her parents and a younger brother in a yellow fever epidemic. Determined to keep her family together, at age 16, Ida supported her surviving siblings by working as a school teacher nearby. And then in 1882 or 1883, she moved to Memphis, where she studied for the teacher's examination and attended Fisk University. Wells' first public protest began in 1882 when, en route from Mississippi to her school in Woodstock, Tennessee, she was ordered to ride on a separate smoking car of the train. She refused, returned to Memphis, and brought charges against the train company. She won her case, but the decision was reversed by the state Supreme Court, a defeat she recounted bitterly in her diary. I have firmly believed all along that the law was on our side and would, when we appealed to it, give us justice. I feel shorn of that belief and utterly discouraged. And just now, if it were possible, would gather my race in my arms and fly away with them. She wrote about the case in 1887 in the Baptist Weekly Living Way under the pen name Iola, and went on to contribute articles to numerous other church and secular journals. In 1889, she bought an interest in the Memphis free speech in headlight, where her article citing the inequities of the public school system cost her her teaching job in 1891. But it was her bold denunciation of lynching that would launch her true career. On March 9th, 1892, three successful black businessmen, whom Ida knew personally, were lynched by a mob. In an editorial, she rejected the claim that an affront to a white woman was the cause of the incident and denied that all relations between white women and black men were cohesive. Nobody in this section of the country believes the old threadbare lie that Negro men rape white women. If Southern white men are not careful, they will overreach themselves, and a conclusion will then be reached, which will be very damaging to the moral reputation of their women. She argued instead that the lynching was caused by economic competition and racial hatred. When the editorial appeared, Wells was attending the AME conference in Philadelphia. Her office was ransacked, and she was warned that her life would be in danger if she returned. She continued to press her claims in T. Thomas Fortune's New York Age and in the pamphlet Southern Horrors, Lynch Law in all its phases, embarking on her lifelong protest against lynching, writing, speaking, and organizing resistance. She made trips to Great Britain in 1893 and 1894, where her speeches spurred the organization of an anti-lynching committee, and described her travels in the column Ida B. Wells Aboard for the Chicago Inter-Ocean. Wells' lecture on the topic of lynching to a group of prominent black women became a catalyst to the women's club movement. She helped organize the Women's Era Club in Boston, with Miss Joseph St. Pierre Rafflin as president, and Ida B. Wells' club was formed in Chicago. In 1893, Wells co-authored with Frederick Douglass and others a protest against the exclusion of African Americans from the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. The colored people of this great republic, it stated, were among the earliest settlers of this continent, landing at Jamestown, Virginia in 1619 in a slave ship before the Puritans, who landed at Plymouth in 1620. They were contribute a large share to America's prosperity and civilization. The labor of one half of this country has always been and still is being done by them. In Chicago, Wells continued to write for the Conservator, owned by a prominent attorney, Lenander Lee Barnett, whom she married in 1895. The same year, her comprehensive account of lynching. A red record, tabulated statistics and alleged causes of lynchings in the United States, from which the following chapter is taken, was published. Soon after the first of her 4 children was born in 1896, she attended the first convention of the National Association of Colored Women. But after the birth of her next child, she retired temporarily from public life. In 1908, she resumed her activity, establishing the Negro Fellowship League and a settlement house in Southside Chicago. She continued her work with women's clubs and was a founding member of the NAACP. In 1913, she established the Alpha Suffrage Club, the first group of black women to work for the ballot in a majority election in 1914. She also investigated and reported on the race riots in Springfield, Illinois in 1908, East St. Louis in 1917, and Chicago in 1919, primarily for the Chicago Defender. Wells began writing her memoirs in 1928, but died of uremic poisoning March 25th, 1931. Before the book was completed, Crusade for Justice, the autobiography of Ida B. Wells, edited by her daughter, Elfreda M. Duster was published in 1970. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That story comes from a great book titled Crossing the Danger Waters, written by Deidre Marland. It's a great book of African our stories and great literature. It's definitely a book you should have in your personal libraries or should be studying on the campuses that you are on. Tonight, we'd like to go ahead and thank you for tuning in to Coffee Talk Podcast. May you have enjoyed our show. Tonight, we talked about egotistical. It mentioned various synonyms that match egotistical. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on the word egotistical. Do you find that to be you? Do you find that to be others that you dealt with? Let us know. Leave it in the comments. And also, make sure that you send positive energy out to Jamie Foxx, one of our own, one of our brothers, superstar. And may you have enjoyed tonight's reading on our ancestor, Ida B. Wells. This is Coffee Talk Podcast, the cultural variety podcast show. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Mashuma Saba, M. Saba. And it's our cultural variety podcast show. Until next time, peace.